Open your fridge right now. There is a good chance there is a carton of milk sitting in there, and it almost certainly came from a cow. Not a goat, not a camel, not a water buffalo. A cow. You have probably never once questioned that. It is just what milk is. But here is the strange part. Humans have drunk the milk of at least 8 different animals throughout history, and cow milk is not even the most nutritious one on that list. Not close. So why did we all end up drinking the same animal's milk? Was it actually the healthiest option? Or did we just default into it because of history? Quick question before we go further. If you had to guess right now, which animal's milk do you think is the most nutritious? Keep that answer in mind, because it is probably not the one you are picturing. Let's start with a question most people never think to ask. Why do we drink the milk of another animal at all? For most of human history, this idea would have sounded genuinely strange. Every mammal on Earth produces milk for exactly one reason: to feed its own babies. Nothing else. No other species raids a different species' milk supply as a regular part of its diet. We are the only ones who do that. And here is the part that should really stop you. We are also the only species that keeps drinking milk well into adulthood. Every other mammal on the planet weans off milk the moment it can chew solid food. A wolf pup stops nursing within weeks. So does a lion cub. So does a baby whale, despite drinking some of the richest milk on the planet as an infant. So does a chimpanzee, our closest living relative. Milk drinking comes with a built-in expiration date, written directly into mammalian biology. For most of human history, it came with that same expiration date too. Right now, roughly 2 out of every 3 adults on the planet are lactose intolerant. That is not a disorder. That is the default setting for every mammal, including us. The ability to digest milk into adulthood comes from a specific genetic mutation known as lactase persistence, and it only became common in a handful of populations, mostly in Northern Europe, along with certain pastoral groups in East Africa and the Middle East. It started spreading somewhere around 7,000 to 10,000 years ago, right around the time humans began herding animals for milk in the first place. Everyone else is still running the original factory settings, where milk quietly stops agreeing with the body the moment childhood ends. Drinking a full glass of cow milk without your stomach staging any kind of protest is not the human default. It is a genetic exception. Now let's talk about why cow milk specifically became the standard, because it was not chosen for being the healthiest option available. A dairy cow can produce somewhere around 6 to 7 gallons of milk a day. A goat produces less than a gallon. A sheep produces even less than that. When early farmers were deciding which animal to build an entire food economy around, raw volume alone made most of the decision. Cows were also easier to herd in large numbers, tolerated a wider range of climates, and did not demand the kind of close individual attention that smaller dairy animals require. Cow milk did not win because it was nutritionally superior. It won because it scaled. And once you actually line the different milks up side by side, cow milk is not at the top of most categories. Not even close. Take goat milk first. Its fat globules are noticeably smaller than cow milk's, which makes it easier for a lot of people to digest, including some people who genuinely struggle with cow milk. It is almost naturally homogenized on its own, since the fat does not separate out the same way. Goat milk is also consumed by more people globally than any milk except cow milk, largely because goats can survive and thrive on rough, dry terrain where cattle simply cannot. Then there is sheep milk, which is arguably the nutritional heavyweight of the entire group. Sheep milk contains roughly double the fat and protein of cow milk, along with meaningfully more calcium and vitamin B12. That is exactly why it is used for dense, rich cheeses like Roquefort and Pecorino. There is simply more nutrition packed into the same volume. Buffalo milk takes that even further. It is higher in fat than both cow and sheep milk, which is exactly why it is the milk traditionally used to make authentic mozzarella. It is thicker, creamier, and carries more calcium per serving than cow milk does. Across parts of South Asia, it is not a niche option. It is the dominant dairy product, full stop. Then you get into the milks that sound almost fictional if cow milk is the only one you have ever known. Camel milk is a daily staple across parts of the Middle East, North Africa, and Central Asia, and it is genuinely strange stuff. It is lower in lactose than cow milk, higher in vitamin C, and contains insulin-like proteins that researchers have specifically studied for their potential effects on blood sugar regulation. Some populations that rely on camel milk as a dietary staple show lower rates of certain metabolic conditions. though scientists are still working out how much of that comes from the milk itself versus lifestyle factors more broadly. And then there is horse and donkey milk, which might be the most surprising of all. Nutritionally, they are the closest of any animal milk on Earth to human breast milk. Lower in fat, higher in lactose, with a protein profile that is noticeably gentler on the human digestive system. Historically, donkey milk was even used as a substitute infant formula in parts of Europe when a mother was unable to nurse. Cleopatra was famously said to bathe in donkey milk, though that particular story sits closer to legend than laboratory result. So if you actually lined up cow, goat, sheep, buffalo, camel, and donkey milk and asked which one is objectively the healthiest, the honest answer is that there is no single winner. Sheep milk wins on raw nutrient density. Camel milk wins on unique bioactive compounds. Donkey milk wins on digestibility and closeness to human milk. Cow milk wins on exactly one thing: availability, because we built an entire global supply chain specifically around it. Now, there is a version of cow milk that comes up constantly in health circles: raw milk, straight from the cow, unpasteurized, completely untouched. The pitch behind it usually sounds appealing: supposedly better flavor, supposedly extra nutrients lost in processing, supposedly beneficial bacteria that pasteurization destroys. Here is the problem. Multiple large studies have found no meaningful nutritional difference between raw and pasteurized milk. The vitamins, the protein, the calcium, all of it survives pasteurization essentially intact. What does not survive is exactly what pasteurization was invented to remove. Between 1998 and 2018 alone, the CDC linked raw milk to more than 200 documented outbreaks in the United States, sickening over 2,600 people and hospitalizing more than 200 of them. One review found unpasteurized dairy causes illness at a rate roughly 800 times higher than pasteurized milk, and hospitalizations at dozens of times the rate. In just the first half of 2026, new outbreaks tied to raw milk and raw milk cheese sickened dozens more people across Idaho, Louisiana, and California, several of them small children. As one biology professor put it bluntly when asked why anyone would take that risk, if you would not lick the underside of a cow, why would you drink the milk straight from it, completely unfiltered by the one process specifically invented to make it safe? So here is where all of this actually leaves us. Cow milk is not on your table because it is the healthiest option nature had to offer. It is there because 10,000 years ago, a handful of early farmers picked the animal that produced the most milk with the least trouble. And everything since then, the industry, the infrastructure, the biology of half the adults on the planet, simply built itself around that one early decision. One quick thing before you go. If you found this genuinely interesting, subscribing helps a lot. The next time you pour a glass of milk, remember that you are not drinking the healthiest option on Earth. You are drinking the most convenient one, chosen for you by farmers who lived thousands of years before anyone alive today was born.